Howdy guys, welcome to another Live at 5 with Will and Tom. Will, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, I'm here.
Yeah?
By the way, got my chair around backwards there. Let's get that sorted.
Let's get that sorted. We've got an exciting evening planned.
Mate, I've been looking forward to this for 3 years.
3 years.
I'm so excited. We're going to go through our vintage tasting bundle.
Yeah, so today we're going to be taking you through our vintage tasting bundle. Do you want to tell us a little bit about our vintage range? Will?
Yeah, so if you haven't sort of seen before, we do a vintage every year, same time, using the same hives from Woodbury Wetlands and Leabridge Road in North London.
So North London. Sort of.
We ferment them in pretty much exactly the same style. Well, yeah, exactly the same style, the same ABV. Sometimes the fermentations are a little bit longer depending on how the honey goes as well. But yeah, we do the same blend from the same hives, and we're just trying to capture that idea of that terroir that honey can have. So even looking at the 3 there, you can see how the honey's changed over the years, and that's not just oxidization either, changing those colors lighter to darker. As you can see, 2019 is the lightest out of the three. The 18 was a little bit of a darker honey as well. So we get the honey each year. We ferment it with our house yeast up to about 8%. And then we put on top an aromatic red wine yeast, just to try to bump up that fruit.
Sure, and I guess what we're trying to bring out here is the fact that the bees, depending on what the bees are eating, you get different flavours coming out of the honey. And by using the same hives every year, you can see how the bees' forage has changed on the year after year.
It's where they forage, what flora they're going to. It also impacts, how the soil's going, how urbanisation is happening, especially with this London honey. But it's also, the weather conditions and how many. We talked about this a little while ago, but with the rise in urban beekeeping as well, there's not as much flora as people would think in an urban environment.
Yeah.
So you're kind of seeing all those sort of things impact the honey and thus impact the flavour of the mead.
Yeah, and that's what's really cool is you get this kind of time capsule almost of what the bees have been up to that year. And obviously the mead changes a little bit in bottle over time.
It sits on the lees, so you get a little bit of that autolysis happening, and you're getting a little bit more of that yeast character. That's why we want to put a red wine yeast over the top too, something that's a little bit more long aging. That's also why we wax the bottles, just a little bit more protection against the oxygen. These sort of things I want to, sit back in the back of the cupboard for about 5 to 10 years and just really let them come to
cool.
Come to
so
life.
Should we do some tasting of the vintage?
Yeah, 100%.
So this is the first year we're doing a bundle of the 3 vintages. So the idea is we're doing this vertical tasting of how the honey and the mead has changed each year, which is pretty exciting. And you can get them on our website, obviously.
I'm so excited. I haven't opened a bottle of... Well, we opened...
We did have a 2018 a little while ago.
Yeah, because we were getting a little bit too excited about doing this, that even before the other one was... before the 2020 was finished, we're like, all right, let's crack the other ones open and see how they're sitting and compare to what we were making this year as well. So it's kind of any excuse, really, open up a bottle and enjoy it. So the only thing about wax is that... it can be a little frustrating.
There we go.
There it is. Just take enough out of that so I can get
But that wax just we use the crown cap, so the wax just helps with that oxygen seal, especially for a long time.
You do it with wine bottles as well, where you put a cork on there and then you'll put a little bit of that shrink wrap over the top, and they say cork will give you 5 to 10 years depending on the quality of the cork. And then the wrapping will give you an extra 5 years on top of that.
I didn't realise there was actually a...
Yeah, I think it's a rule of thumb, right? You got bottles of wine there that are just 50 years old and just sat there, and as long as you sit them right, you leave the corks wet.
You do have to leave the corks wet. Otherwise they start to rot.
Yeah.
So you lay the bottles down.
Yeah, and lay them down so they face a little bit towards the cork.
There we go. Right, so I'll pour these. I mean, you might as well just start with opening the other 2 as well, Will, because I can see
I'm really good at it.
Might take a little while. So 2018, this is the first year we did it.
Yeah.
And I can't actually remember how this came about as a project, but I think it's something that I've wanted to do for a while.
Yeah, and that for me too, trying, we were sitting there talking about, how to show people that wine, mead needs to be respected as a wine.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a beer-based product, and I think it deserves to be in the wine category.
Just elevate it a bit more. I mean, I think you start to get it with really good beers. So in terms of that respect for the product.
Especially when you're looking at something like mixed fermentation, it seems to get a lot more respect because it's got time in barrels, or it's got time with the time to settle out, and it's a little bit more wild, and a bit more difficult to produce, and got a higher chance of wastage, and that's got the perception of what's the word I'm looking for, but not perception of value.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and that's kind of when we're playing with these honeys as well. These raw ingredients can be so expensive.
So it's really good to sort of respect it, and
and that means you need to push that value on as well.
Yeah. So this is the 2018. Cool. It's smelling good on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah, the honeys. That's one of these things, like, they change so much over time.
It's bloody good, isn't it? Oh.
That fruit character still there. It's also a little bit of the florality. I always have trouble saying florality off the cup.
The floral notes. That's good, isn't it?
But the carbonation's
what's the residual sweetness on this? Because it is sweet. There is some sweet notes to it.
1018?
Right.
1018, 1017?
It's not super sweet, not cloyingly sweet, but
there is
a notice of...
What's that, about 30 grams of sugar per litre?
Yeah, something like that. But that's
got
really
a really deep nose to it now. It's really also picked up a little bit of caramelization as well.
Well, I'm going to give this one a go, Will. See whether I'm any better than you. If I start bleeding, you'd have to...
Got that one there ready at least. I see I've opened up these bottles, so as a little trick, I like to take the top off and the side off, and that just allows me to see where the difficult... Yeah, you're not going to get that.
No? No, it's a rubbish bottle, man.
Yeah, that's...
Bad tradesmen always blend his tools, isn't they?
But yeah, so what else are we doing this week, Tom?
Oh, it's been all go. So we've got a really good sale on the website at the moment, which is going really well. It's 20% off at the moment, which is cool. And that's kept me keeping us busy. And then what else have we been doing? It feels like a very busy week.
Yeah, it's been a nice week. It's starting to, you can start to feel everything's starting to ramp up towards this sort of, the days are getting shorter, the work days are getting longer.
Yeah. No, I know.
But yeah, the cool thing about this too is, it's picked up a little bit of these tropical notes as well. The alcohol's nice and big on the nose, but when it hits the palate, it's a lot more rounded. It's not as shocking. The sweetness, as you said, has picked up over the years.
Yeah.
But you can really feel that the alcohol is just sort of warming. It's not shocking. And I remember on this one, the very first time we pulled it off, I remember worrying about that, going like, oh, that high alcohol. I know we do it to age, but I also want it to be able to be drunk within a week or two of production, when it's super green, and then you let it age out and see how it changes. I quite like doing that with, let's say, Belgian beers and stuff, or otherwise, I'll grab two and one I'll drink in 6 months and one I'll have now. And you
can see how those flavours kind of develop, which is really cool. 2019 then. 2019, yeah. God, what year is it? So this is the second one. So I think we were finding our stride with this one this year.
So the 2019, the honey came in, it was a lot lighter.
You can see that in the honey colour.
It had a bit more sort of herbaceous notes, a little bit more sort of like stone fruit and like blueberry, blackberry bushes, that sort of like dark green. Sort of
hedgerows is kind of one.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more savoury on the nose, I would say.
Yeah, it's not as much honey character as the 2018, and that could be due to just over time. We noticed that when we tasted the 2014 version of the Gosnells original last week, that the honey character over time really, really stays there and almost gets more prominent.
Yeah.
You really see the yeast character between the two are quite similar as well.
Yeah, so you can see they're definitely cousins, if not brothers and sisters.
there's a muskiness there, you know, and this is using really raw honey as well. So you're getting a lot of that.
It is lighter though, and that's from the honey. I mean, both in colour and on the nose and the palate.
Yeah, because they've got exactly the same residual sweetness.
Again, that's really nice. I would say slightly less going on. You can see the
more
18
acid in that too.
It's a bit more white wine notes than potentially.
I think that's what's happening, helping that sweetness level as well as that acid profile is really lifted up, and you're getting more of that sort of Sauvignon Blanc, that pear and apple sort of character, little slight tropical note that's in there as well. I might have a little bit more of that actually.
Yeah, that's
what I think last time I preferred the 2018.
But I came down on this one actually because I think it's a bit more balanced. That acid kind of carries it through a little bit. Not the other one isn't balanced. But this one is something that I think
is a lot more complicated as well. I think
you want to sit there and unpick that one. This one I think is a little bit more. Well, that's nice. Let's move on. And they're all 12.5%, so they do sneak up on you. Actually, you'll probably.
12?
They're all 12%. I always say 12.5. I don't know why.
Just trying to get that extra 0.5 out.
I am, yeah. Oh, it's beautiful though.
I'm just knocking some CO2 out just to...
And that's the thing, I think they are beautiful, right? They kind of give you a smile on your face and you can kind of really unpick a lot of flavours there.
It's super unique as well. You say it's like white wine, but it's got some of those elements of white wine, but...
I think what I was saying is this one is more white winey than the previous one.
The mouthfeel is incredible, and like we talk about it all the time, but trying to create that mouthfeel in a especially a high ABV mead without tons of sweetness is really difficult.
It is difficult. And also not getting those off flavours you can often get with a higher ABV mead. So as the yeast gets stressed, and that's one of the reasons we use the two types of yeast.
Burny,
in order just that we can keep the yeast as happy as possible.
Yeah, and we also do it just to create, because they're two different. So our house yeast is really quite fruity and has all these nice undertones. And if you put the red wine yeast, which is usually used to capture the flavour of the berry and really push the fruit forward, when you've got the nice fruity yeast underneath, and then you put another one to cannibalize it, and then push those esters a little bit further, you're just building up this nice fruity background to this. Because this honey, as we said, is quite floral and not necessarily fruity or tropical like we see in some of the other honeys for our mead of the month range.
And also worth saying that these aren't as sparkling as some of the other meads, right? So we've got to dial down that. We call it a pétillant, if my French is right.
It's spot on. So we don't want it to be taking away from that warming round feeling, and that I know you don't. But that mead-esque characteristic to it,
I do like mead, Will. Let's not...
No, but there's something about that.
But there is a classic mead style which isn't necessary to mine.
Yeah, which is quite, that high burning alcohol and that sort of like thick, viscous, almost unpalatable amount of sweetness. And this to me is the height... No, the Boucher was a little bit sweeter, and I didn't mind that. But you'd have a tipple, right? You wouldn't sit there and drink a whole bottle, and you could, but you'd end up with gout. But it was, this is the maximum amount of sweetness that I'd like to do with a raw honey. Anyway, otherwise you're kind of losing that aspect, and you're not allowing those sort of things to come through. But when you're caramelizing honey, that's what you're going for. You're going for these sort of thick. Wintry sort of feels.
Right, I haven't tasted the 2020.
I haven't tasted it since day one. Day one it came off the line. And we put the day one that it finished carbonating. And I was like, okay, there's the level, let's put it away. Oh yeah, okay, cool.
Cool. So this is the moment of truth, Will.
There's the nose.
There's the nose.
Oh, something else in there.
Yeah, there is something else.
It's like blueberries.
Yeah, something fruity.
It's always more fruity when it's young, but it's blueberry and like plum, peach.
You always say stone fruits.
Yeah, but yeah. Melon as well.
Oh yeah. So you can just taste this younger, right? You can just taste the different, and this is such a cool set to do.
I quite like the talking about before with the high alcohols. I forgot how nice that is. Like and it's like it's almost like shocking the inside of your nostril hairs, just like give it a little bit of a burn. That's cool. Sorry guys, I'm a little excited. I don't think I've tasted one cold yet.
Oh, it's so cool to do the three together.
So much softer as well. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you expect it's going to be a bit harsher, but actually it's really soft and rounded.
That's the softest out of the three.
Yeah.
Even 3 years later.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, okay. 19.
19, yeah.
That's the 18 and the 20 are probably closer to each other than the 19 and 20 are. I love that muskiness that comes through.
Oh, sounds delicious. So guys, if you've got one of our vintage sets, I think they're going out today or Monday?
Monday.
So they'll be with you very soon. So let us know which one you liked, what you thought, whether our tasting notes made any sense. It's always interesting. Everyone's got quite a different palate, so people pick out different things, and let us know what you think.
Yeah, we just like doing these little bits just to sort of show people that you can do it any sort of way, and
also that we're real.
Yeah, it's not some massive big factory mixing NGS with honey. Real people.
Well, I was told that I wasn't allowed to talk about the dark side of Mead.
I wasn't specifically calling anybody out. I just assume that there's a somebody mafia out there that does this.
The Mead mafia. Anyway, we're going to move on, and we are going to taste some of our braggot, which we also canned this week. Did we?
Yeah, we canned it. Wednesday, Thursday, Wednesday. So, for you guys who don't know, our braggot is the first iteration of our small batch program, where we're doing 10 months, 12 months.
Well, it's a rolling subscription, Will.
Okay.
Which it will be once I work out how to do a rolling subscription on the website. So it's job for
it's the first iteration. So this is a recipe that, this is an idea that I came up with, 2 years ago. When did we do the first podcast?
End of 2019.
Because I did a little jumped on there and we were talking about the BBC metheglin we did on the podcast, and then I was just chatting about something that I'd like to do.
Like maybe September, October last year.
And there's something I'd like to do, and I was talking about tej and the sorghum beer culture in Ethiopia, and there's probably 3 or 4 little pockets of the world that still kept mead alive. And one of those like Ethiopia, a little bit Northern Europe, and maybe North America as well. I'll give them that, even though it's later on. But they sort of kept that culture alive, and I quite like the idea of tej, which is just a standard mead that, it's a standard high gravity metheglin with gesho, which is a aromatic bush. I want to say bush, and use the stems and the leaves as an additive. I do know what it is, but I'll get back to that. So the idea was to sort of create a little homage to that sort of culture, and sorghum beer culture is super cool. Sorghum is one of the ancient grains, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is
I did look this up the other day.
I don't know if you've ever seen sorghum.
Name or 7? No, I'm not.
No.
Let's not get into that. It's fine. We can be a bit looser now.
That's definitely the vintage has definitely helped. I've got a smile on my face now.
It's just spending 10 minutes with me.
Oh God, you can't. You keep. So so we decided to do a little homage to that, and I don't know if you've ever seen sorghum being grown before, but it's kind of like little tiny seeds.
I have had a whiskey made out of it.
Sorghum whiskey.
It wasn't full sorghum. It's half sorghum,
it wouldn't
half
be whiskey,
rye.
But.
Would it not be whiskey?
No. Whoa.
Don't know. Anyway, it was down in...
Depends which country.
It was Charleston, South Carolina. Went to Still Distillery, and they were making some sorghum. Because apparently they grow tons of sorghum around there. Yeah,
well, that's where we got ours from. Well, I'd just say the US, but it's a cool little plant. It's when you put it through the enzyme process, and you get out that sort of wort, or the sort of malt, like what would you call it? The sugars, when you go through the enzymatic process with sorghum, would it just be wort?
Yeah, it would be wort, right? The same way you use millet or... Yeah,
that's it. So it's very, very similar to standard barley wort. So it's got a high lot of unfermentables, which sort of help us, especially when making some of this, to be able to leave a little bit of that sort of residual sugar. So there's a little bit of dextrose in there as well, and a little bit of maltose that gets produced during that process as well.
So let's go back to what this is. So it's half sorghum, half honey.
So it's half beer, half mead, and that's kind of the idea of a braggot. You can split it every way, and we'll get to that when we talk to this, but we went for a 50-50 split of fermentables from sorghum and from honey.
Why?
Just to so it's to showcase both. So when we look at doing a braggot, we're like, okay, when we do it with somebody else, like we've done with like Brewdog or something like that, where we're like, okay, so we represent the honey part.
Or some other people coming very soon.
So we support the honey part, right? So we want the honey to be forward or at least
and that's
balanced.
always the challenge, right?
Yeah, it's really quite difficult.
That honey carry through.
So we actually got a chance to do this in-house, and we kind of went, well, we just wanted to split 50-50. We don't, because it's all us, we're not necessarily just making sure the honey's there and you can taste the honey and it's part of the braggot. The braggot needs to be a little bit more of our design and our sort of iteration of a braggot. So because we're a gluten-free brewery, that means that we have to work with gluten-free products. So I don't quite like there's the dosing enzyme process that breaks down gluten now, and you can create gluten-free barley-based drinks.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to move away from that and work into sorghum. So we wanted the fermentables to be split 50-50. And then we wanted to represent the gesture plant with...
Which Rupert has just said is shiny leaf buckthorn.
That's it, yeah, it's buckthorn, yeah.
Cheers, Rupes.
Spot on. So the idea was to replace the buckthorn, the gesture plant with hops and create that, that sort of modern take on a process. And then just let the honey sort of sit in the body a little bit more than the aromatics. When you're using these sort of New World hops, they're quite pungent, and that's what everyone kind of looks for in a beer style now is put your nose in it, does it smell dank? And we don't want to create a big sort of
middle
thick,
name.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I thought it was Stephen.
Steve, to my friend. Sorry.
It's really hard to get through this, Tom.
It is, I know, but it's just my nature, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Making it more
like
playful.
It's a challenge.
Lots of the emails we get are, we need more banter from Tom and less technical stuff from Will. So I'm just trying to rebalance that.
They're all just replies to yourself.
No, it's my mum. Anyway, sorry, Juliet.
So we very happy with how it came out. There's a good amount of we used orange blossom honey.
Should we taste it?
Yeah. So we used orange blossom honey. And it kind of comes across a lot more.
Also, Will, this is the first time we've used our canning, I would say canning line. Let's say canning line.
Yeah. It's the first time we used our new one-person canning line.
Yeah, which you can probably hear in the background just hissing away. It's automatic, so we just let it to run to itself.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we don't have to do anything anymore.
But this is awesome, and that carbonation is lovely. I guess the protein in the, I'm going to say this, and you want to correct me, the protein in the sorghum gives it a bit more head than
100%. We don't get it at all. Well, we get a little bit with the hibiscus and a little bit with the sour because of the proteins we create with the souring process.
I mean, that is good.
Carbonation, bang on.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of pride on my behalf. Working with a different medium, working with a new canning line, and to get the carbonation spot on, big kudos to me. So thank you.
I would say there are some other people in the brewery. I don't know their names.
There is. I will personally thank them from you thanking me. And then the honey's a lot more in the body, is a little bit on the nose.
When should we expect the crowd feed fund Mead to arrive? So it went out yesterday. So the braggot went out yesterday. So if Royal Mail's doing its thing, it should arrive tomorrow. If not Monday.
Yeah.
If not Monday, then probably Tuesday. Monday.
Let's keep the jokes between me and you.
Yeah, all right, fine. So hopefully Saturday. If not Saturday, Monday.
Yeah. So look out for it, guys. It's super fresh. Get into it. The next iteration is...
Yeah, take some photos of you drinking it and let us know what you think.
It's feedback, guys. Feedback.
We just thrive. We're just...
Because like I said, this is the first time, especially for us, doing anything that's outside of mead.
Yeah.
Even though our braggot's still within the mead realm, it's a different set of skills.
Yeah. And also, I don't know who did these labels, but they are looking on point.
He's a very modest man.
He's a very modest man. And clearly someone has been learning how to use all the Adobe programs. Did you see that video he put up today with the smoke?
Was that smoke?
Sorry, it was steam.
Oh, I thought it was smudge.
Well, anyway, I'm just saying that guy...
With the smoke in his cup.
With the smoke in his cup, yeah.
Glad you stepped in that one.
There we go.
You are more than welcome.
Yeah, so this is tasting banging.
So the reason we have another bottle on the table as well is to kind of just show you the first iteration that we did. This is the last bottle of, actually this is, I think it says EP2. So this is actually the second iteration, not the first iteration. It's the second of 6.
It's a bit like how I started the batches at 100.
Yeah, yes.
I enjoyed that.
I think before we decided that it was actually going to work, I think we did about 4 or 5 different runs.
No, it was good.
Hector did probably the best. I know he can hear me, so he's going to love this. He did the best version of the braggot with toasting some rice. Did you get a chance to have a taste of that?
I think, because he was taking around the office, making everyone taste it. It was good.
He had a brilliant idea, and I think it's something we're going to move back.
What, instead of the sorghum?
No, as well. It's like using crystal malt to create a little bit of that sort of caramel sort of quality, or using like a darker roast, like a chocolate malt or something, to create like a little bit of a darker profile, and using brown rice or toasted brown rice just to create a little bit of that sort of caramel to come across is really, really interesting. But as you do on the first time you do everything, I think he put it in the oven a little bit too high.
I saw the photos of that.
Smoked out his whole kitchen and scared his neighbours. And it kind of tasted a little bit like somebody had put all the burnt popcorn from the cinema into a bottle. But you could see it was going to work. The colour was there. It was just too smoky and not in a box sort of way, but in a
this is too smoky.
In a horrible way. But I really like the concept, and I think you can. I think there's a couple of companies that do that process of putting brown rice syrup and stuff like that, which might be an easier way than us trying to toast it in our home ovens and giving it a whirl. So this is the second iteration that we did. Getting back to it, it's 7%. This would have been done with our house yeast. This is actually a 75-25 split. Now realising I don't remember which way it is.
I think it's honey sorghum, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think we did a 75% sorghum, 25% honey.
Really, because we didn't have a huge amount of sorghum.
Yeah, and it's really annoying to work with. So we 75% honey, 25% sorghum. So we were just looking at what balance do we want, where are we going to get the unfermentables to create the mouthfeel? How much honey do we need to create a honey aroma or a honey profile? And then we started, after we got the balance right between the sorghum and the honey with our house yeast, then we moved on to doing different yeast and trying to create a little bit more of a familiar profile. So this is just done with Cascade.
Are we opening this one?
Yeah, 100%.
It's Friday. We're done for the evening after this, aren't we, Will?
I don't think we are, but...
Sorry, we can just, there's a little bit of canning to do after this, I would say. And when I say a little bit, if you're watching, I might not be in for dinner. Just putting it out there.
I'm sorry. It's my fault that he's not coming home for dinner.
I'm going to stop that conversation there because I was going to go into a whole lot of things.
So we carbonated this, right, which is great. So can't drink it all because I think the guys downstairs deserve a drink as well.
Yeah, once they get through the canning, we'll...
So it's got a lot more lager to it.
Yeah,
it
smells like a lager. What was the yeast in this?
So it's our house yeast.
Right, well this one isn't it though, is it? It's a Nottingham.
No, that's a Nottingham ale yeast, and that's kind of, it's like more like a New England style yeast, low flocculating, sort of, that just means that it stays in solution a bit more and you get a bit more of that sort of cloudiness.
That's much clearer.
I think we lagered this, to be honest with you. So we did do some trials on fermenting at about 8 degrees C for 2 weeks and then ramping it up to room temperature, dry hopping and then crashing it and then leaving it to lager for 2 weeks. This is one of those ideas where you're like, oh, it'd be really cool. Let's see how it tastes. But then you go, we're never going to do this process. We don't have the equipment to scale this up at all. I think
we should get a load of lagering tanks.
100%.
We've got so much room here.
But I think we just did it in the fridge with an ink bird and just let them run. Yeah. So it's got a lageriness on the nose. The hops are delicate. They're not really tropical. They're a little fruity and a little grassy. They've got a little bit of
Sorry, it's got to the point in the evening
little
where
bit of citrus.
I need to start tasting and stop drinking. You know, when you're like, oh, it just tastes really good. I'm just going to smash it.
Very easy to get into that.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, that's tasting great. The other thing we did, the other thing we're going to do when we get back downstairs is finish canning the mulled mead.
Yeah, so the mulled...
I put that on the website yesterday just because it was a job on my list of things to do to put it on the website, and we have sold shed loads of it. So like, as in to the point where we're like, oh, we probably need to can that today rather than on Monday. So it might be a bit of a late one.
So I take that back. So it's not my fault that we're going to stay late.
No, it's not your fault. It's 100% my fault. I was like, oh look, I'll just toss it up and I won't hide it, but it will just be somewhere on the website. And I think we've sold about 12 cases already. It's absolutely bonkers.
So that means we have to stay and package it all and have it all ready for Monday, which is...
Because we love you that much. Yeah. You need to get your meat.
Well, it's what, Monday's the last week in November, right? So as all things
it's
go...
mold season, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's the last day to be negative towards anything Christmas.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Christmas jumpers
as soon as
all
it gets
in December.
1st of December, you can still hate it, not a problem, don't judge you. But it's the time to stop abusing other people for doing it.
Is this a note to self?
Yeah, this is my...
You've been playing Christmas songs in the office all week.
Yeah, hoping somebody was going to...
No, it was the Polish Disney that I objected to.
Yeah, I tried that in the brewery as well, and the guys were not about it.
It was when you changed it back to English, Disney, and I was like, it wasn't the Polish that was the problem.
It was the Disney.
It was the Disney. So, well done for taking it.
James have been showing me videos from The Princess and the Frog.
Oh, that's a pretty niche Disney film.
It is, and I haven't seen it. So he was showing me like little the songs and stuff from it, and like they're cool as shit. Like Louisiana Swamp Blues and like
I'll have to have a look at that.
It's I just kind of skipped over it. Like I'm a bit of a Disney
closet Disney fan.
Yeah, I quite like it. You know, Beauty and the Beast is my favorite Disney film. Yeah, 100%. Very operatic.
Yeah, Jungle Book probably for me.
Like, the original, the 1951. I rewatched that.
We rewatched that.
Okay, is this what we're getting into now? Cool. So what is your favourite Disney movie then?
I think it's the Jungle Book.
I think it's
Jungle Book. It's another one. The Aristocats.
Aristocats.
Very jazz heavy, obviously.
Yeah. Is that...
always made me want to play the double bass.
Was that a movie as well?
Yeah, it was a movie.
It was they did a series of the Aristocats as well.
They did.
I remember watching that as a kid.
So the mould mead, rewind. The mould mead is up on the website now, along with a whole load of other stuff. We've lost Will.
I lost it. Sorry.
It's been a long week.
Oh, when you make DJ noises with your hands... Oh, that was...
It's proper dad stuff, isn't it?
Oh, that's great. Oh, that definitely...
Maybe we can just cut out that clip and just have that as a...
I'm crying. I've never seen you do that before.
I don't know. It's the camera. It makes me do strange things.
It's great. It's great. I'm going to be editing this later. I'm definitely going to watch that 100 times over the weekend. I'll see if I can put some music to it and make everybody laugh. Yeah. So this bracket's great.
This is really good.
It's a little bit,
I wouldn't notice it was 7% though.
No, and so it's more like an Imperial lager, and that's what it kind of tastes like, you know, just a little off-center lager.
When they say Imperial, it just means strong, like an Imperial stout. Like it's just a stronger. There's nothing
strong. There's nothing else to it.
I wonder where that comes from. It's not like a Russian thing, is it?
Yeah, we have Russian Imperial stouts, which is old school style of, you know, like high ABV stouting. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, because Imperial, it's different variations of Imperial when you use it in language, like in English, right?
Anyway, sorry,
we're digressing
again.
But this is definitely not.
We're never going to get our TV show commissioned on the basis of this. I just think we need to make it a bit tighter.
I think.
Speak for yourself, is what you're saying.
Yeah, like I think we've got this. Channel 8 is looking into us. That's my English joke. I think it was 5 channels.
It's 5 channels.
Yeah, I said 8.
You got 6. Yeah, that would have been funnier, but we can work on that.
Well, 6 is not going to pick us up. They've got a whole list of people that aren't going to get picked up. That'll get picked up by 6. But yeah.
Yeah, what else have we been up to?
It's sort of a whole big... It's slow season at the moment.
So the next sneak preview of the next small batch crowdfunder.
Yeah, so we just ordered a big whopping lot of fresh sloe berries because it's slow season. And we've got it on dried sloe berries at the moment in primary with juniper, barrel fermented, and now the barrel aging.
Inspiration from like a slow gin. That's like classic. If you're not from the UK, classic English drink is slow gin. Sloes are these like really tart, tiny little, pretty tiny berries that don't taste that. Just taste tart, right?
Yeah.
And so what you do is you traditionally bung them in a load of gin to infuse with a load of sugar, and you make this really kind of sweet liqueur, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I sort of wasn't really into slow gin, especially from the macro producer of slow gin, where it was exactly that. It kind of tasted like a really poorly made liqueur, and I always found it to be quite unbalanced between the gin and the sweetness of the slow, and it kind of took over. Yeah. But it wasn't until I just had a mate that went home to the West Country one year and brought back his mother's recipe of slow gin, and I think me and my girlfriend were drinking it pretty much every day.
Yeah, I mean it's good stuff, and it's made
until it ran out.
It's really good stuff.
It was cool, and the idea was like he was like, you're not just adding sloes and sugar to gin. She steeps different botanicals, and she adds, star anise and these sort of like winter spices to it that just sort of created a whole different profile to it. And, those winter spices really lend themselves to that sweetness as well.
Yeah.
And it just, changed my whole idea on it. And I wanted to kind of make a mead that fed into that. So.
All right. Well, we should probably go and do some...
we got a bit of
different work.
Yeah.
But guys, thanks very much. We will be back next week with another exciting edition.
Yeah, we've got the December range is going to be a bit of fun, I think. So
yeah, it will be a bit of fun. Maybe we'll wear some Christmas hats.
Yeah, I've got a Christmas jumper that I enjoy. It's Happy Snowmas. I never knew what it meant.
Don't ruin the joke.
Well, too late now.
Okay. Well, anyway, stay tuned next week to hear what the punchline for the joke is. Anyway,
thanks, guys.
Guys, thanks very much. Take care.
Thanks for listening, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. So hit the subscribe and like button and follow us on all our social media, and we'll see you again next week. If you've got any questions or thoughts, or just want to chat about mead and honey, then drop us an email to podcast@gosnells.co.uk.